I am vengeance. I am the Knight. I am Batman.
We step into the DC universe yet again to platinum Suicide Squad, Kill the Justice League. To say that feelings on this game have been mixed would be a colossal understatement. After what many would claim to be a poor showing at last year's PlayStation State of Play, along with leaks and rumors slowly revealing what this game would eventually become, anticipation for this project soon turned into outrage. I was always cautiously optimistic. I never rode the hate train that was increasing each day, but I was never as excited as I would have been if Rocksteady just stuck with what they were known for. After spending dozens of hours getting the platinum for Suicide Squad, I can say that I had fun with the game, but it's far from perfect. The platinum journey wasn't terribly difficult, but it was a big time sink. While there is no estimated time to platinum Suicide Squad, at least at the time of me writing this, it took me roughly 43 hours to complete. The trophy list consists of 34 bronze trophies, 15 silver, 1 gold, and the platinum, making for a total of 51 trophies. There's a long road ahead of us, so let's begin with the story of Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League. Our story begins in a reality where Earth has been ravaged by Brainiac. Taking control of each character, I learned the basics until Brainiac destroys what's left of this aching planet. However, this is only the beginning. Going back 7 days earlier to unlock my first trophy, Task Force X is brought together in a very familiar location where they get roped into a life or death situation. One of our first assignments took us to an abandoned train station where we entered the Hall of Justice. While the objective was to simply steal stuff, I interacted with everything here to learn more about this version of the Justice League. Once the team steals some iconic gear to traverse through Metropolis, we see the magnitude of Brainiac's dominance over what was once a prospering city. After fighting some Coluans, Green Lantern gives us a closer look at the chaos happening in the streets. Flash interrupts the party, unintentionally saving us and making him our next target. He takes a heavy beating from Green Lantern, making this job a lot easier, until more Coluans show up. This leaves us with no choice but to hide in the Batman experience. Little did we know, this would end up being an even worse idea. Sneaking through the museum as each member of Task Force X, Batman picks us off one by one in arguably the best section in the entire game. There are numerous callbacks to the Arkham games with explosive gel, Batman crawling through vents, and smoke screens, making for an awesome sequence where we are the ones being hunted. After narrowly escaping death, thanks again to the Flash,
Hey boss, bad news. We found evil Batman.
the team looks for a way out. This allowed me to fully explore the Batman experience.
We begin at the Arkham Asylum.
Like the Hall of Justice, I interacted with everything I could, reliving the glory days, even if this experience sadly did not include the events of Arkham Origins. After establishing our headquarters in the Hall of Justice, the team plans on heading to LexCorp to remove the bombs from their heads. However, they can't jump the gun just yet, especially while Waller has them on a tight leash. We agreed to complete some tasks, but it's a bit difficult with our current loadout. She points us in the direction of Oswald Cobblepot. After ruffling his feathers for a quick laugh, he ends up becoming a weapons dealer for Task Force X.
Shut down the Terminaut incubators at Central Station, TFX.
We run into Green Lantern and meet Gizmo before making our way to LexCorp, where things turn sour very quickly. Waller catches up to us, and the only source of getting these bombs out of our heads is killed by Lex Luthor. So much for an escape plan. To get more information on Lex, the team stumbles upon traces of Poison Ivy, who is somehow alive following the events of Arkham Knight. We find her, albeit as a child, and go on a mission to defend her plant friends. She officially becomes a part of the team after Boomer puts a bomb in her head. Getting caught in a trap by Lex, Flash, now under the influence of Brainiac, takes matters into his own hands.
Really? Why don't you just mail me the bullet?
We are nowhere near ready to face him, but Brainiac intervenes, delivering a present to Metropolis. This is technically the first boss fight of the game, and while it boils down to simply opening up the cannon's weak spots, the moment-to-moment combat was fun.
Got plenty of aliens. Gonna lob 'em at that gun.
After destroying the cannon, we catch up to Lex, who has a device capable of stunning the Flash. It wasn't enough though, as Flash kills Lex and almost kills us too if it wasn't for Wonder Woman. Unpleased with our presence, she hurls us across the city where we end up inside the Daily Planet. Like usual, I took a look at everything I could. Task Force X returns to the Hall of Justice, where Toyman finds us, with the device Lex used earlier, making Flash the #1 priority. We call him out for all of Metropolis to hear.
Barry, you're just the team mascot, aren't you, mate? The comic relief. The speedy flaming larrikin.
And in a matter of minutes, the fight is on. This is the first major boss fight of the game, and I thought it was just okay. Fighting the fastest man alive is cool, but I thought it was too hectic for its own good. The main gimmick is to counter his attacks when he's vulnerable, buying us only seconds to do real damage. I don't think the fact that the Flash is fast is what makes this fight hectic. The best way I would describe it would be disorienting. There were times when it was difficult to find him in all of the chaos. The minimap does help, but when he zips off, in the second or two it takes to register his location, he's probably run off to the next spot. However, I don't want what I'm saying to be misconstrued into thinking the fight was bad. I still found it fun, but it certainly wasn't the best. After killing the Flash, Captain Boomerang decides to just whip his dick out and piss on him. Yeah, I'm not too sure how to feel about this, but the mood quickly turns around when Green Lantern arrives.
Oh, you need another lesson, Gambit.
I want to learn how far I can shove this foot up your glowing green ass.
This fires up Deadshot, and everyone leaps into a portal to avoid being killed. This takes us to Earth 2, where we find another version of Lex. He transports us back to our Earth and aids us in the fight against Brainiac. After a run-in with Wonder Woman at Wayne Bank, Lex provides us with Yellow Lantern batteries, giving us what we need to stop Green Lantern. I felt comfortable with my current loadout, so it was time to kill John Stewart. This was easily the best boss fight for me. Destroying his constructs lowers his shield, giving us a decent window to attack. It was a very simple fight, but there was enough variety to keep it engaging. With Green Lantern killed, this is where things kick into gear. This whole section was just amazing, with Shark putting on the Green Lantern ring and getting our first look at Superman.
Yeah, go Superman! Oh fuck, it's Superman!
In one of the most cinematic moments in the game, Wonder Woman and Superman brawl across Metropolis as we escort Waller back to the Hall of Justice. This is unfortunately where Wonder Woman meets a tragic demise. While she wasn't in the game that long, Wonder Woman easily became my favorite character in the game, and I really hope we can see more from this version of her. Superman's ferocity and his resistance to kryptonite shakes up the team, but Lex quickly comes up with a plan to stop him. This plan involves capturing Batman, and after some busy work, we find him in one of his many Batcaves. Inducing Task Force X with Scarecrow's fear toxin from Arkham Knight, the team works simultaneously to flood the cave with gas. Listening to everyone's insecurities unfold, and hearing that nostalgic chime from Arkham Asylum,
I need you to help me mix the fear toxin.
we go face to face with Nightmare Batman. The fight was a bit too simple for my liking, as we just dodge his attacks and shoot a giant purple weak spot when we counter him. The music and Kevin Conroy's stellar performance is ultimately what carried it for me.
One by one, I will beat you down. I'll break your bodies and your minds.
After defeating Batman, we deliver him to Lex, where more busy work ensues. It's not long until we have what we need to defeat Superman: gold kryptonite. To draw his attention, we take Batman to Centennial Park, where Harley delivers the killing blow. After all these years, this is how the Batman dies. It doesn't take long for Superman to arrive.
One of the world's finest heroes, snuffed out by this.
And now it's time to fight one of the most powerful beings in the entire universe. This fight was intimidating because it's Superman. I was constantly met with hard-hitting attacks, and it took me a couple of tries. But once I took him down, it was incredibly satisfying. However, our celebration is short-lived when Brainiac captures us looking for new minions. Lex manages to pull us out and gives us a glimpse at what the future content of Suicide Squad will be. As if one Brainiac wasn't enough, there are 13 of them just chilling in the multiverse. This sets up the final fight with one of them. Taking the fight to his home turf, we engage in a very disappointing boss fight. I mean, we're fighting Brainiac, for crying out loud. I was hoping for something more cool than a reskin fight against the Flash. Gee, I sure can't wait to see how the other fights play out. With this version of Brainiac defeated, we take him back to the Hall of Justice, where information is extracted from his brain, ending the story for Suicide Squad: Kill the Justice League. At least for now. It's no doubt that the story for Suicide Squad: Kill the Justice League is going to be hit or miss for a lot of people. I mostly enjoyed my time here. Not everything hit for me, but I can say the story Rocksteady was trying to tell was exciting at times. There were plenty of moments where I had goosebumps, but there are others where I was cringing in my seat wondering who approved this. Then there's the way the live service elements are integrated into the story. The mission design is very simple, but grows to be very repetitive. In between those impactful cutscenes lies a lot of repetitive fluff. There's never a moment where the game deviates from its generic go here and defend a plant, go here and rescue civilians, go here and kill everything in sight, go here and defend this car. I think you get the picture. This gameplay loop follows us into the side missions. Throughout the game, different members will join Argus, opening up a string of side missions. The game does make an effort to add variety by giving us restrictions. Enemies can't be killed normally and have to be damaged by grenades, weakened by afflictions, or, my least favorite, only landing critical hits. I didn't really do these missions in any particular order, but the first person I completed these missions for was Rick Flag. He has the least out of everyone and was pretty quick to wrap up.
Cobblepot will start working on the Amertech schematics now.
Hack is another prominent member, and all of her squad missions require us to defend terminals while she hacks into Brainiac's mothership. With 3 missions, completing these allows us to carry more contracts, something I will get into later. Penguin has 5 missions, and most of them require rescuing civilians.
Let's wind it up, TFX. Cobblepot's got what he needs.
However, after completing his first mission, this gives us the ability to overhaul our weapons. This effectively swaps out the current stats on our gear for random ones. Gizmo's missions were probably my favorite, as they broke the mold of going around and shooting things. I'm still technically doing that here, but it's in a vehicle. There's also some progression as the vehicle becomes more powerful with each mission. Lex is another character that has a small number of missions, and these simply require us to kill enemies to collect data. Ivy needed help defending her plants. This builds up their affliction, which can burst out a mist affecting those within a large radius. With 4 missions completed, we can supercharge melee weapons and grenades, increasing the effectiveness of our afflictions.
I've improved its freezing potential.
Lastly is Toyman with 5 missions where we collect data or rescue more civilians.
Maybe you're rubbing off on him.
With all of his missions completed, we can elite our gear to change mods that cater to specific needs.
Take care with this one, okay? Super special.
In the middle of all of this lies one combat trophy. This trophy required completing a combat flare checklist 5 times. During each mission, a list of moves and abilities pops up that can be completed for bonuses during that encounter. Nothing crazy, as most of them came naturally throughout the fight.
Come on, Tom!
The next thing I kept up with during my time with Suicide Squad was contracts. If you have played any live service game before, this is going to be familiar territory. These could be as simple as defeating enemies with an assault rifle, using your suicide strike, doing skilled landings, afflicting enemies, and more. Once all of Hack's squad missions are complete, we can work on 5 contracts simultaneously. I worked on this throughout my entire playthrough, and there's a couple of trophies related to this. There's one for completing 50 contracts, which I unlocked a few hours after completing the story. The other was for completing 100 contracts, which was one of my final trophies.
I advise taking down the shock trooper.
I want to quickly dip into the endgame and talk about another trophy that is similar to the contracts. Raising Hell objectives are introduced after the story and can be completed to unlock additional gear. But the twist is after completing a set of objectives, a hit squad comes after you. It's not as intimidating as it seems, with the game throwing a few of its toughest enemies that we've already fought plenty of times by now. I had to do it 10 times and just kept the same mentality that I did with the contracts. Also, major props for letting us track these trophies in the menu. In all of the chaos taking place in Metropolis, Riddler still has trophies lying around and riddles for us to solve. He also has some AR challenges that test each character's traversal abilities. These challenges have 3 stars to work towards, which unlock cosmetics. There are 13 challenges and 3 trophies. One for achieving 13 stars, 26 stars, and 39 stars. There are 40 Riddler trophies and were some of the easiest to collect in the entire series. We got trophies for collecting 10 Riddler trophies and collecting all 40.
You're trying so hard to impress me.
Lastly, our riddles. Most of these came pretty easy, but I did rely on a guide for some. Like always, shout out to Batman Arkham videos. There are 2 more trophies here. One for solving 5 riddles.
Was that supposed to be a brain teaser, Eddie?
And solving all 21 riddles.
Congratulations! Somehow the 4 of you managed to solve my riddles.
Now, let's turn our focus to the actual Suicide Squad. I took a peek at the trophy list a few hours into the game and saw trophies for reaching the max level with every character. While I did not plan on having a main going in, I knew from this point on I would have to give each character a few hours of my time. As I went through the story and well into the endgame, I would seamlessly swap to different characters after completing a story mission or leveling up. Different story and side missions will also psych up a member of Task Force X, giving them more XP and another incentive to use each character as a solo player. Difficulty also helps increase the amount of XP earned. I started on the normal difficulty, which gave me a 20% XP boost, but switched to what was the hardest difficulty at the time, increasing the XP boost to 30%. As we get into the endgame, the difficulty can be increased even further, leading to a 75% XP boost. In the beginning, when I was still getting the hang of the traversal mechanics, I mostly stuck with King Shark. I found him to be the simplest out of everybody as I leaped across the battlefield, picking off enemies with my machine gun.
Brainiac's forces are legion. You'll never stop us.
He ended up being the first character I reached level 10 with, which was roughly halfway through the story.
Punishing Harley's target for its existence. Oh, that was too bloody close.
By the time I finished it, each character was somewhere around level 13 or 14, so it was going to be a big grind getting everyone to the max level. At this point in the game though, I still had a lot of stuff to work on. Hours deep into the endgame, I reached the max level of 30 with King Shark, Deadshot, Captain Boomerang, and Harley Quinn. After spending multiple hours with each character, my main ultimately became Harley Quinn, which was a surprise to me. I was not a big fan of her grappling hook. Something about it felt off to me, but with time, I became very comfortable with it, making my way through Metropolis and maneuvering through dozens of firefights. I also might have purchased a skin for her, which he probably already noticed by now. Yeah, I know, I'm part of the problem. Getting back on track, there is one more trophy in regards to leveling up. Once any character reaches the max level, further upgrade points can be put into squad levels. These apply very minimal upgrades to different aspects of the game, like XP acquired, damage output from a specific weapon, an increased chance to shield harvest enemies, and a lot more. On top of getting each character to the max level, I had to reach squad level 50. This was going to be a massive grind, so for now, let's jump into the endgame.
Off we go! Everyone got their passports?
So this is actually the first time I've stuck around for the endgame in any live service game. Usually with these games, once I finish the story, if there is one, I drop it very quickly, rarely, if ever, coming back. There are quite a few trophies that dealt with the endgame and took up most of my total playtime. The big thing introduced here is incursion missions. While these are the exact same missions I've already played, the draw to incursions is of course the loot. Once they became available, I got a trophy after completing my first incursion mission. This also gave me my first piece of endgame gear, and once I equipped it, I got another trophy for unlocking a villain synergy. But what exactly does that mean? As I got different pieces of loot, some were based on different DC villains like Black Mask and Hugo Strange. Pairing these with gear you unlock from the Bane Infamy set creates a villain synergy, giving you additional buffs as you play the game. Getting back into incursion missions, they can also be played on higher difficulties with mastery levels. These difficulty modifiers reward you with more XP, gear, and resources, but become harder to complete on higher levels. To unlock a higher mastery level, you have to finish all 3 incursions on that level. I really have no idea how far this goes, but there are only 4 trophies for this. I unlocked the first one a few hours into the endgame after completing an incursion on mastery level 5. The other benefit of completing incursions on higher mastery levels is unlocking different tiers of the Bane Infamy set. For the first 10 mastery levels, this unlocks tier 1 Infamy gear, and I got a trophy after equipping 3 pieces from this set.
Give me that. Call it my secret Santa.
Over the next 15 hours or so, I was in a constant loop of completing incursions on higher and higher mastery levels. In the beginning, it was a bit tedious playing the same missions over and over and over again, but once I learned the best build for Harley Quinn, I found myself having fun, mowing through dozens of enemies like it was nothing. Over the course of 2 days, I completed incursions on mastery level 10, 15, which for some odd reason was one of the few hidden trophies, and 20.
Like only yesterday, we exploded onto the sea.
Along the way, I also equipped 3 pieces of the tier 2 Infamy set, and 3 pieces of the tier 3 Infamy set.
Ooh, slightly owned fancy stuff. Gimme.
The last thing I took care of was reaching squad level 50. For context, I did not reach the max level with my last character until I was at mastery level 17. So after completing all of the mastery level trophies, I was simply replaying these to level up. It was a tremendous undertaking, even after doing my best to make it less time consuming. I added modifiers to every piece of gear I had to give me the most amount of XP, I constantly increased the mastery level of incursions, and kept upping the difficulty when I had the chance. Even with all of this in play, it took me somewhere from 8 to 10 hours to reach squad level 50. Once I was close enough, I stopped doing incursions and spent my time completing some side stuff around the city to give myself a break. It was here when I finally reached squad level 50, giving me the platinum for Suicide Squad, Kill the Justice League.
Brainiac pulls out of our point. Stunning.
After spending 43 hours in Metropolis, I can genuinely say I enjoyed my time with Suicide Squad, but it's a game that comes with a lot of baggage. The game looks fantastic, and the moment-to-moment gameplay is pretty solid. However, its live service components are ultimately what brought it down for me. Live service games aren't my jam, especially when it's from a studio that is primarily known for its single-player games like Rocksteady. It's clear that their love for the DC universe is still here, and the story they've created has some really high highs, but is also met with some pretty low lows. I can't help but imagine what they could have created if they weren't held back by the live service constraint. This also made some aspects of acquiring the Platinum tedious, but I would be lying if I said I did not have a blast. While I thought the endgame was going to grow boring, once I found the right build and put on a podcast, that's when everything clicked. Now that I am in a good spot with Harley Quinn, I can see myself coming back regularly for each season. At the end of the day though, as a major Arkham fan, I don't think Suicide Squad is as bad as everyone is saying it is. Could it have been better? Most definitely. But what we have right now is okay. Only time will tell if Suicide Squad has the longevity to deliver on its promises. That wraps up the video. Thank you for watching and I hope you enjoyed. What are your thoughts on Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League? Make sure to leave a comment down below. Please be sure to like and subscribe to the channel if you have not already. See you guys next time.